Henkei Astrotrain is the Takara version of Classics Astrotrain, and was released 2 years after the original in 2008. The main difference between this and the Western release is the colour scheme, which here is based on his cartoon appearance. And the scheme really does make this thing look a lot nicer than the Hasbro version, in my opinion, and that's not just because I like purple Decepticons. It's not purely that reason, it's mostly that reason, but it's not just that reason. He's got a few vac metal parts on the go, as Takara was wont to do, and I really like his shoulder pads here, integrating elements from an updated alt mode in a neat and elegant way in the exact way the front ends of the train on his forearms absolutely don't. He's also only a deluxe class, and it's only just occurred to me now how used I am to triple changes being at least Voyagers due to their complexity, so he's pint-sized for this kind of thing too. He also comes with a long gun that is, well, it's a long gun. Glad we cleared that up. And since the original release of this mould was way back in 2006, this thing doesn't have modern articulation, and what is here feels a little odd. His arms are all ball joints, so if it wasn't for the kibble getting in the way, they'd be pretty good, but the legs are another story. The main issue is the thighs, which barely exist. Don't get me wrong, it's not uncommon for the necessities of transformation to make for some odd leg proportions in bots, but these are pretty extreme, and when combined with there being no leg rotation at all except below the knee, it makes it very hard to put him in any interesting pose whilst looking remotely natural. Although if you want to get fancy, his landing gear can be lowered to give him more stability, although I tend to leave them tucked away for a smoother look personally. Ultimately, this stuff isn't really an issue since this is just how Transformers were at the time. I highlight this stuff more because it makes you appreciate how much better the articulation is on any given modern deluxe. As a triple changer, Astrotrain has 2 alt modes for us to look at, so let's first take a peek at the Astro part of Astrotrain. There's something very satisfying about how the legs smooth out here, and not just because it gives him an inadvertent Beast Machine's Jetstorm mode. And if it wasn't for the huge honking chunks of bullet train on the side there, it'd be quite a tidy space shuttle mode. But, you know, triple changes, there are concessions. You can even store his gun underneath and he rolls pretty well due to his landing gear. His final mode is the train mode, which this time is not an old steam locomotive, but a more modern bullet train, giving the whole thing big Shinkalian vibes without the Hatsune Miku. That's about as obscure an anime reference you'll ever get from me, so I hope you enjoyed it. And I say it's a bullet train, but really it's one half bullet train and one half just whatever was left. But, you know, triple changes. The weapon is once again stowable in the same hole, although it's on the top now, looking like the world's deadliest pantograph. And it still rolls well, although it's hard to shake the feeling that it's not all quite sitting as flat as you'd like. Also, I suppose the jet boosters on the back feel slightly less incongruous on a train from 2004 than on a steam train from the 1930s. Oh, and this is not really relevant to the review, but as a little bit of a train guy, it was fun to learn whilst making this video that Astrotrain's G1 train mode wasn't just weird and lumpy because it was a G1 triple changer, but because the JNR class D51 it's based on was actually just weird and lumpy itself. So even if it wasn't a one-to-one likeness, they did capture its general energy pretty well in the original toy. Anyway, Henkei/Classics Astrotrain is pretty neat, doing a lot in a small package, if perhaps a little archaic in some ways by modern standards. Thank you to the fine folks at Grox Inc. who sent this to me a few years ago, and I'll see you next time where I'll break new ground and review, I don't know, a Transformer or something.